As I said, we like to mix things up a little bit in the program. You've heard from experts. Now we want you to hear from the next generation of experts. These are our students. We're very proud of our students and the fact that at Northeastern we have something called the Co-op program, which means students, even while they're studying, are given the opportunity to go and work and practice and apply the things that they learn in the classroom. In the last few years, what we've started to do is take this idea of co-op and globalize it so that our students can take up jobs in all parts of the world, including many emerging markets. Now, I want to recognize Ketty, who's sitting over there. She's the head of our international co-op program, and she's worked with companies such as the ones you're going to hear about to create opportunities for our students. We've picked two students to feature today. One is Ran Ding, who is a senior and worked at the company called Li & Fung, which is a large global supply chain company based in Hong Kong. And I'm pleased to say that the chief operating officer of the company is a Northeastern alum and is on the board of on the advisory board of the Center for Emerging Markets, and was very helpful in making this happen, working along with me and Ketty. And the other is Britton Green, who is also going to be graduating. He's a senior, but he'll graduate in 2014. And he spent several months working for CNBC in Singapore. All right, so these are our two students. I'm going to now turn it over to them. And they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves and about the kind of work they did in these countries. Now, Hong Kong and Singapore would not be considered emerging markets by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, God, if only we could all be like Hong Kong and Singapore in terms of per capita income. But based in these locations, they were working with markets which are really, truly emerging economies. First, Ran Ding.
Doesn't matter. Good morning. My name's Ran Ding. Thanks to Professor Ramaberti and Kathy for offering this opportunity to stand here and speak with everybody. A little bit about myself. My name is a Chinese name. I was born in China, and when I was 10, when I finished my primary school, my parents took me on a ride to Africa, where basically I finished my middle school and high school there. And right after I finished my international baccalaureate, I got accepted to Northeastern. And during my first co-op, I worked for MFS, is headquartered in Boylston back then, and now they work in Prudential as a mutual financial services company. And my second co-op was in Africa for an engineering company. And the third one was through Professor Ramaberti, who connected me with this opportunity in Hong Kong. So I moved there for 8 months, starting January. A little bit about Li & Fung. It's a global leading supply chain management company. They are a sourcing agent. They has been established for more than 100 years, since 1906. And what they do, they source garments, fashion accessories, cosmetics, products, home appliances, the things that you can ever think about in your daily life. And this is Li & Fung Global Network. They work with 28,000 staff members across 300 offices. They have distribution centers in more than 40 economies, and they work with 15,000 suppliers. As Mr. Bonzos mentioned at the back end of his presentation, to win globally, you must win in the BRICS, and to win globally, you cannot just win in the BRICS. And I think this Li & Fung Global Network just demonstrates just that. They work with a lot of different continents and suppliers. And these are some brands that Li & Fung supplies, and they are our direct contact and clients. And then if you're shopping one of these brands, and chances are you're buying something that's sourced by Li & Fung. Yeah, so as the first co-op, what did I do there? As my goal as the first co-op was to figure out what is a supply chain cycle. That was my task. And during my job, I had a chance to had hands-on experience on some of these points. Some of the jobs are dedicated to consumer needs, product design, product development, vendor compliance, raw material sourcing, factory control, and shipping control. So in this whole key concepts, I had hands-on experience to work with. This is Li and Feng Tower, where I worked for 8 months. It's based in Hong Kong. It's an iconic building of Li and Feng. And these are some showrooms are inside that building. This is one of the shoe showroom. And these are some children's apparel brands that we work with in Asia. They are Barbie, very big, Hello Kitty, and also we are sourcing and owning the franchise brands in Asia's Nautica. It's everywhere in Asia that's sourced by Li and Feng, and I own them. This is one of the corporate showroom where we have our clients over, and this is where we talk about business. So what do? For my first 6 months, I worked for the children apparel department, and part of my job is to ask the suppliers for garments that's suitable for our potential clients who's coming to our office for a meeting, and then put them on the rack like this and roll them into the conference room the night before the actual meeting. And sometimes that day is a little bit tough. This is more than thousands of pieces of accessories that we gather the production samples from our suppliers, and somehow to transform that into this. And then I have to oftentimes sort them by style, by color, by material, and season. Which season they're for, and take a lot of work, but it's fun. And outside of office, I go offshore office visits. One of the office I visited was in Panyu, southern part of China. It was about 2 hours boat ride from Hong Kong. And the thing about this design team is we work for big brands like Disney. You can see on the back of the wall where I was standing. That was actually a huge wall in the Panyu office. If we go into the office, you can see it's big ceiling, very tall ceiling, huge rooms. All those employees there are our designers, and they design the latest trend and products for our clients, many of our clients. And this is, in the supply chain cycle, what I learned is this is the Infom's move to move up the ladder from just a pure sourcing agent into value-added sourcing and sourcing agent that provides a complete service pack for our clients. As you can see, the person in yellow shirt, he's actually a tailor. He works on site right in this building. He's making a proto sample that is transformed from the designer screen right on site. And then we have laboratory equipment in this building allow him to do lab tests. And this is helping us to be competitive. And this is me with my 2 Hong Kong colleagues. The beautiful lady in the middle with the dress, she's a Dutch lady. She's a buyer from V&D working in Amsterdam. And we took her there for a tour. And this is our shoe factory in Shenzhen, where I visited with my fellow interns. That was a fun trip, where I got a chance to see the whole assembly line, where workers are transforming sheets of leather and shoelaces into final products, and it was amazing to see that. And that is our general manager. He's showing us the Jennifer Lopez showroom. And that's some of the materials that you use in making shoes. And there's thousands of them that you can choose from. And this is a prototype sample room where these shoes will be shipped to the designers all over the world. And they will be proved for mass production later. And these are the Coach shoes. And hopefully most of them, you can see these in store in 1 or 2 months. Yeah. Exciting. And something I like to do, I really liked during my co-op was attending the fashion week, where hundreds of vendors and suppliers meets with the buyers, and then the clients potentially chose their next season from exhibition like this held in Hong Kong. And it was fascinating to see all the modeling whole day. They have a fashion show whole day, and then seven days a week for the whole week. And besides on-job learning, I had some social learning. One of the things I did was meeting my fellow intern during the summer at Li & Fung. These are interns from Li & Fung. They are from Germany, Switzerland, France, just all over the world. I know I was in Hong Kong, but it doesn't really look like Hong Kong. I know we had a lot of food tasting, a lot of good time bonding together. And that's my mentor. He showed me the ropes to the corporation. I really appreciated the time he spent with me. And this is during one of the events he took me out with the PMD student. So what did I get out of this co-op? I, first of all, had hands-on working experience, and opened my eyes about how complex a global supply chain can be. And working that, it's just very fascinating and learning. And also exposure to the knowledge of sourcing from emerging market. Also, it's always a challenge to work across culture and also people issues in different cultures in a matrix organization like Li & Fung, where you're just a little tiny parts that you are trying to, do your job in a very huge organization. It's very interesting. And also, I think the most learning curve for me as an intern was the living and working in a foreign country. That really not just helping me in gaining professional skills, but actually learning how to live and grow in a sense. But finally, I had a lot of fun in Hong Kong, but I'm really, truly happy to be back. The air is luxury here, and I'm wrapping up my classes this semester. I'll be graduating in December. Haven't decided where I'll be going and what I'll be pursuing, but soon enough I'll have an answer. But sure, the 5 years that I spent at Northeastern, from classes, learning from classes, and the skills that you can never learn from class or be told are those on-job experience. And all these skills that I acquired through my years at Northeastern will definitely help out with any of my future careers. And I truly believe that. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Great.
Ask both of you the same.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Britton Green. I worked at CNBC Asia in Singapore. A little bit about me. I'm an American. I was born in the United States. I moved around quite a few times before, but when I was 13, I moved to Shanghai, China, which was definitely the best experience of my life. There I learned pretty much everything till up to today. I learned my values, I learned what I was passionate about, I learned about what I wanted to study. I'm an international affairs major here at Northeastern. I have a business minor, a Chinese minor, and an East Asian studies minor, and I learned these pretty much as I went. I always knew I wanted to be a business minor, but once I went to China, I figured everything out. My mom, the reason that we moved to China was my mom is an engineer for Yum Brands, and I think Dr. Srinivasan left, but everything he said is true. I talk to my mom about her business all the time, and they want English speakers at all of the KFCs, so that was very interesting to hear him talk about. But yeah, my mom works for Yum, and my dad works for the Shanghai American School where I went to school. So that's pretty much my life story in China. As for my co-op position, here's Singapore. The building I worked at this is the financial center, so it's kind of behind that. But I worked for the digital news team. I was a digital news producer, and we had a great team. We worked from 6 a.m. to about 4 a.m. 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And at the beginning, I was a little scared, but I'm now a morning person. I've never been a morning person in my entire life, but I was up about 2 hours before I came here this morning. So that was definitely one of the highlights of my trip, was becoming a morning person. But here's a picture of the CNBC website, just so it'll help me explain what I actually did. The picture here of the guy from the Clinton Global Initiative is a video, and whenever we had interviews throughout the day, they needed to be scheduled so that the editor in the United States, who was there all night long, could video record it, and that was my job. I've scheduled every video throughout the entire day of Asia time. And then sometimes they needed to be written up. Depending on the video, I'd write them up. You know, that was something that my international affairs major helped me do, because all we do is write. Besides that, the producer title means that we produce the news. And, you know, if you're reading any article, whether it's New York Times, CNBC, anything, you see that, okay, the stock price, you know, whether it's Google or Apple or S&P 500, that needs to be linked in the stories. You know, someone manually has to do that. Well, that's what the producer does. You know, that's me. And then Forex, you know, gold, commodity prices, they have to be updated throughout the day. If gold drops $200 in a day like it did while I was there, that updates like 5 times a day, and usually updates twice. That's also my job. It was just amazing. I also monitored social media, which is huge these days for breaking news. You know, Twitter, news wires. We used Reuters because Bloomberg is a competitor. I prepared for the Europe takeover, which was in the afternoon at around 2, because the headquarters in London, when they wake up, they'll take over the website. So that's no longer our job. And then we spent 2 hours preparing for the next day. And then there were a lot of new hires that ended up leaving. After 2 weeks of training, the hires that took over for me, I took over for them, and then I was the only person. So that was definitely a challenge of my position, was that I was the only person for 6 months. It was a 2-person job, but it ended up becoming great because I'm not a multitasker, but I had to be for this job. And being a multitasker is definitely something you have to be throughout your entire life. My international experience, what I got out of this, I lived abroad for, you know, it's been 10 years now. And moving abroad wasn't that big of a deal for me. But I've also always thought that I wanted to live abroad after I graduated. And after this, I really don't think I'd do it anymore. I think I want to start in America. Maybe, I know, once again, you know, I guess I'm fickle, but you know, Singapore was great. It's got a very diverse culture. You know, there's 3 pretty much main languages. You know, it's Malay, Chinese, and, you know, Hindi, I guess. But, you know, I think I want to start in America now and then move abroad maybe. But then again, now that I speak Chinese, they'll move me abroad. But, you know, it was definitely an interesting experience. I'm really glad I was able to experience this. It was an amazing job. I tried to stay longer, but right now the Singapore government is very tight on the visas, as Ketty will be able to definitely vouch for. No Northeastern students can go back to CNBC this year. They've buckled down. So that's definitely the valuable outcomes from this. Was I'm now able to operate multiple softwares. We had to use like 5 or 6 softwares that are really popular in the news industry. I definitely want to go work in the media industry now, or market research industries, like Nielsen or something like that. And now that I know how to use these, you know, in the interview they'll ask me, "Have you ever done this before?" I'm like, "Yes, I use Toolbelt, Reuters, all these sorts of things." The challenges definitely was the workload. After 2 weeks, you know, I learned the softwares. All right, bye, 2 interns, and that was it. And then we hired somebody, and then she left because of family issues. But it was good. You know, it's always good to be full of work instead of, you know, I'm sure you know, if you're not given enough work, you're bored. You know, it's better to have work than not be worked hard enough. As for my future, I definitely want to work in media. I've decided that. Right now, I'm a research paper in my capstone about social responsibility of the New York Times, and you know, all large companies have social responsibility statements, and especially media companies, they have code of ethics for their journalists, sources, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to be a really interesting paper once I finish it. It's not going to be easy, but I look forward to finishing that up. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't really finish the slides, but this is really quickly. These are some pictures that I took of me in the newsroom. That was fun getting to. And then this is one of the most interesting pictures. We had a desk in our office where people would come and be interviewed, and that's my desk. We had 2 computers and a TV right in front of us, so that we could listen to the news and make sure and know how to write stuff up and transcribe, which was also one of my jobs. And this is the guy interviewing next to me, and he's on TV in front of me, which I thought was kind of interesting. This was like the first week, so I was freaking out a little bit.
Any quick questions for these young people? Yes.
Were you doing most of your business in England? Oh. I've got the microphone now. Were you doing most of your business in English, or were you speaking other languages when you were abroad?
Well, that's not a question for you. I thought you lived in Shanghai for your life. What happened to Mandarin?
Mike's up.
Wait, are you asking for the CMC job or Lian Feng?
Both.
You can go ahead.
No, I asked the question first.
Oh.
What happened? I mean, you lived in Shanghai, and then what happened to Mandarin?
What do you mean? You want me to give my presentation in Mandarin?
You were saying that she also mentioned there's the English or the language barrier, but then I realized in your presentation that Singapore actually needs to speak Mandarin. That sounds like you.
Singapore official languages, there's like 4 of them. There's.
Do you speak Mandarin?
Yeah, my Mandarin's pretty good. It's.
Oh, okay, you all set.
It's not as good as when I lived in China, though.
Yeah.
It's coming here or something. But to answer your question, I worked in foreigner offices in Singapore. The languages are English, and definitely in CNBC since it's an American company. Everybody I worked with, some of them even went to American colleges. One of the journalists went to UVA, and everything has to be written in English. It's for an American website, so I didn't have a problem with language barriers.
And Lian Feng was interesting. I was nervous when I first go there because I thought I'll have to speak Mandarin all the time, or even Cantonese, which was true in the office. 80% of communication was done through Cantonese in the office environment, but all the business processes are done in English. All the emails are done in English. Even the suppliers in China, Bangladesh, everywhere we email. And among ourselves in the senior manager level is all English. So growing up in Africa doesn't really help me to speak English with this face. So, but I got some misunderstanding. But most of the days I just speak English in the office. Yeah, and I had a Singaporean supervisor. He's understandable. He speaks 3 languages, but we mainly communicate in English. And later on, I had a German mentor. He was my supervisor in English. Yeah.
Okay, I think we got a flavor of what you did, and I think it's fascinating what you've done, and I envy you for having these opportunities, which I didn't have growing up. The fact that you've been in these places, done real jobs, spent this amount of time. This is not just a weekend assignment or a 1-month assignment, but a real job. You help for a period of time, and you learn all these different things. I think it's just terrific. Thank you.